Every good book begins with a beginning, middle, and end. Still trying to comprehend how God, who is the author and the finisher of my faith, caused this book of my life to turn out right. They say you can't judge a book by its cover, right? Well, in the beginning there was a girl who desired to be a boy. Her desires was his desires, and his desires was for a girl. So that was her desires. And it was just as confusing for you as it was for me, because many years ago that girl was me. Grew up struggling with a false sense of identity. I couldn't identify the enemy's plan, so I went along with them. My friends and fam consistently called me a tomboy, so I went along with them. Not realizing that words take on an assignment, and from the day of my birth, the enemy had an assignment. He's a problem starter as well as a problem solver, so he had it all figured out. If he could cause me to be physically, verbally, and sexually abused, I feel misused about my sexual identity, I'll be confused, and for a season it actually worked. As a child, I had an undeniable love for God and His Word, but struggling with same-sex attraction made it hard for me to stand on His Word. So I went from preaching in the pulpit in my teen years to succumbing to my greatest fears, which was committing combinations of the greatest abomination, which was strictly forbidden against my church's denomination. And in my later teen years, my flesh started getting hungry for an appetite that was strange. And instead of starving, I started feeding it more than 3 times a day, and my hunger pains were satisfied daily. I started entertaining homosexual thoughts in my mind. It was just a matter of time before it was too late, and I couldn't turn back the hands of time. All it took was one encounter with one female to equal a problem. And how I felt inwardly started manifesting itself outwardly. I went from wearing church skirts to baggy jeans and loose shirts to do-rags with the fitted caps twisted back. I went from hanging out in the church to hanging out in the village with the gays. And the enemy had me thinking it was just for a couple of days, but they turned to weeks, months, eventually years, and that was my lifestyle. Drugs, alcohol, and women was my motto. I found it hard to follow a God who didn't want to have nothing to do with me. Or so the enemy led me to believe, and because I was blind, he led me to be deceived. But please believe the enemy is a liar. He tormented my mind for years, telling me there was no hope for me and I was in judgment of hellfire, but failed to tell me about the Messiah and His work on the cross. After being delivered and set free from that lifestyle, God began to show me His plan for me. And although I may have fell from grace, my sins He erased, all because Jesus Christ took my place. While everyone looked at me and saw a lesbian, God looked at me and saw a deliverer, snatched me out of Pharaoh's hands and said that I could deliver. And He brought hope and deliverance to all those that are around, those that are in chains and those that are bound. You don't have to wait till tomorrow to be set free. You can be set free right now. For years I was a slave and lesbianism was my master, and I served it well, but I thank God for deliverance because now I'm His slave. He's my master and I serve Him.